these GuitarViols. And this is actually the last of a 7 series, number 7. I'm going to be starting the 8s. It started off as sort of an experiment to see if I could build in a certain price point that was rivaling what I was doing with the electrics. I'd say the project was a success, and the 8s I'm sure will be. In terms of being able to sustain in that particular window, that might be another subject. But today I wanted to actually focus a little bit on some of the frequently asked questions that I get. And today's topic, I'm going to tackle, well, how did you get into it? Why did you get into it? So anyway, I wanted to take it back a few years. And back in the 1980s, this isn't the guitar I had back then, but it's an electric guitar. I was very much into like a lot of the neoclassical shred guys and all that kind of stuff, and I was always trying to get some sort of bowed sounds out of the instrument, especially after hearing of I knew about the E-bow. I was aware of Jimmy Page, but that really wasn't what drove me. It was more the violinists, and there was a multitude of ways I was trying to tackle getting there. And so like way back 80, 81, 82 maybe, I was like discovering a very common technique now, which was, you know, just trying to, I'm losing it actually. You know, just trying to go for that volume swell approach. And then later on, there was a guy that really caught my attention named Ulrich Roth. And Roth was the lead guitar player of a German heavy rock, I would say, group called the Scorpions. And there was a particular album that he had some tones on there that were just grabbing me. He was sort of like Jimi Hendrix meets Vivaldi. And anyway, disgusting title for an album. It was called Virgin Killer. But there was a track on there that was his slower stuff, Yellow Raven in particular, that really caught my attention. I followed his career after that point, and this is like maybe, I don't know, I discovered him about 82, 83 during my teen years in boarding school. And anyway, I followed him after that, and he came out with something called a sky guitar, which was fretted all the way up into this range. And you know, back in those days, being a poor kid messing around with guitar, I didn't have the wherewithal to build such an instrument. So what I did was I started adapting some more of my manual techniques. And again, I say manual techniques because that's really what I was after, was some manual way of doing things, not so much electronic. One of the things about the sky guitar, he was able to hit some notes that you couldn't really hit on the guitar very easily. And also, too, just some of the violinistic kind of scales and patterns he was doing. One day I couldn't find a pick, and I would either use it like a bread basket, bread tie from a bread bag, or a quarter. And I was aware Brian May was using coins, so. So I got these little tones by it's sort of a combination of playing slide and quarter. So I was able to do the hammer-ons that way, or just hit a note. Another cool one was like when you stick this neck pickup on and take the quarter. It would effectively become the bridge, and the ridges would sort of like excite the strings and come up with these different scales and stuff like that, because the frets would actually have different values. So that's kind of what drove me into that direction. Just out of desperation, trying to get some other things. And of course it became sort of an annoying lick after a while, but I had a lot of fun scaring people with it. So anyway, that's kind of what led me down the road to wanting an actual, bowable guitar, but I didn't know any such thing existed. So it turned out, like in the 1800s, there was something called the arpeggione, and I read about that about 1989 in an encyclopedia, and basically it was like lightning striking me. I became totally obsessed with the idea. And later found out about that there was a history of viola da gambas, which were essentially guitars that were bowed guitars. Actually, they were kind of they were celloized guitars, but the Moroccans brought their bows over in the 1500s or 1400s or 1300s, somewhere in there, and to the Spanish guitars, and they started doing that. And that even predated a lot of violins, as it turns out. Later on, in the early 90s, though, I began to prototype. Here's a picture of me then. I don't know if you can see it. And anyway, that instrument was a beautiful instrument. It was built by somebody else. And let's just say I played it for some years, but it really wasn't working out. There was a lot of design problems that I had to address. So I wound up building something like this. I have the other golden prototype out in the shop. And it's an electric one. I made this little scoop here so that it would sit in the lap a lot better if you're sitting down. And getting a little more serious about bowing it. I don't have it plugged in this second, but... And so it was suiting me. This is something that I was after. It was a hybrid guitar. I was able to play both, a lot of pluck stuff. I had a mag pickup on there just for the pluck stuff. The mags don't really work very well for bowing. I'll go into that on another blog. But anyway, this suited me very fine. And then I got one. I started hearing from people on the internet, and all of a sudden people wanted one. And then well-known film composers started doing that, and then I started getting busy. So I effectively shelved my musical aspirations and goals in the pursuit of doing this. Now, I had always been sort of a luthier or a guitar tech all my life. In 6th grade, I built a cigar box guitar, and I didn't even know what that was. I've spent my life doing this. But I never aspired to be like some sort of luthier. It was kind of a thing of I had to, because the only way I could realize my dream of this instrument was to do it with my own hands. And then, I got busy doing it. Good problem, right? But anyway, I wanted to just shed some light on that and give you some of the history of how I arrived at. And eventually I started going for more, acoustical instruments like this one. This has sort of that little leg area thing, and I put the peg right here like this. And it's pretty cool. So I work with all three types. I have a new type called the Electro. I don't have one handy to show it right now, but you can look on some of my other blogs and see that one in action. Anyway, if you'd like more information on what I do, the instruments I build, go to togamanguitars.com. That's TOGAMANGUITARS.com. Thank you very much. And here's Dee Dee. Say hi, Dee Dee.